You're here today with Sean and Jennifer Walton. Thank you guys for coming. We are here today to talk about mentorship, particularly the impact of mentorship and how it can help one turn their dreams into reality. That is Right Choice's theme this year. So thank you guys for coming to chat.
Thanks for having us.
So the first thing I wanted to ask you guys as we just get into it is, for each of you, how would you define mentorship, and what role has it played in your personal or professional lives?
And yeah.
Ladies first, there we go.
Well, I always say that you should have a personal board of directors made up of several different individuals, like a sponsor, a coach, a peer, a truth teller. But one of those people is always a mentor. So different from a sponsor, where I would say you tell all the good to, because these are people who open doors for you. A mentor is someone that you come to and you are telling them the good, the bad, the ugly, and they're really going to help you navigate those things. They may not have all the answers, but they can help you through the process of how to navigate some of the challenges that you might be facing.
Yeah, and I think for me, mentorship can be more informal sometimes. So I struggle to put like a definition on it because I think that a lot of my strongest mentors have been just like organic relationships that are things that I've learned from. And I think on the flip side, I've picked up some mentees. And it's I think so. A lot of times it's about alignment and seeing somebody who is where you want to be. And being intentional about learning from that person as well.
Have you ever served as a mentor to someone, and what was that experience like for you?
I just want to plug Right Choice right now because I actually was a Right Choice mentor and great experience. Fantastic experience. And I was very nervous because, to my husband's point, mentors can be formal or informal, and I'm very much a formal type person. I like having the frameworks and the blueprints to follow. But and that was the case with Right Choice. However, I'm also at the same time kind of spontaneous. And so I was able to really build a bond with my mentee outside of just the frameworks, which I think was encouraged. It was a great experience for me. And of course, I've served as a mentor in many different capacities. But I think our biggest thing and our motto is just that everybody eats, meaning that there's just enough for all of us. So we're always pouring into others because so many people have poured into us. But that to me was when I feel like mentorship, like the light bulb really clicked for me, is doing it for someone else. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Well, for me, I'm a little bit different because I don't necessarily love the frameworks or guidelines or the things that I have to abide by. Like I said, I'm
You don't do
more
rules.
well, I do frameworks, right? But so for me, like I like when something again organically happens. I think a lot of times I'll look up and somebody has maybe become my mentee in a sense, but it's been unspoken, and I like that because it is authentic to me, and it shows that we have alignment where you do value my insight, my guidance, and things like that. I don't want to assume, like I don't want to assume that somebody wants my feedback, any of that. But I think when you can have that authentic relationship, it's even more powerful because you know that we're both in it because we want to be here, right? Like there's not any obligation. It's hey, let's grab lunch, right? Let's catch up. And so I think that's how I've learned mentorship is people who have maybe not necessarily always been there as a consistent formal mentor, but they've been somebody that I can call, that I can reach out to. I can say, hey, let's grab a drink. I have questions. And sometimes it's work related, sometimes it's about being an entrepreneur, sometimes it's about being a father, a husband. But I think that's really what I try to strive to be is that person that can be that resource when somebody signals like, hey, I rock with you. I want you to it's kind of how we got together.
Yeah, he's my mentor. And he's big to
She's my
everybody.
mentor as well. It's pure mentorship.
Mhm. It takes a lot of courage, right,
Yeah.
to be willing to step out your comfort zone and ask someone for help, or
Right.
ask someone, "Hey, can you give me a little insight in this area?" So what is that like for been like for you guys in your career? Like, just how do you work up the nerve
Mhm.
Mm.
to ask?
Yeah. I think for me, I've always been like on my own in a sense. In law school, I knew that I wanted to have my own practice, and so I knew that I needed to see examples of that. So I worked for Anthony Vinoy, who I mentioned before. I made a firm in Dayton, Wright and Vinoy, and then here in Columbus, Kendall Isaac, was another, solo black attorney who had his own practice, and so he did different areas of law. I learned those things, but for me, it was like just letting them know, like, I want to know what it is that you do. I want to see how it operates, and going out and doing that. And then as I started to, have thoughts of actually stepping out in that moment and starting my own practice, I reached out to entrepreneurs, and I'm like, hey, I want to know. So for me, I've been a firm believer that I shouldn't be reinventing the wheel.
Mm.
I should be trying um, to innovate, right, and to build on that. And I think that's what people want as well, is that they want to have a legacy. And I think I've recognized that. So I have no problem reaching out to
Yeah.
even the highest of the
Right.
highest in terms of like what people assume is prestige, because I also I believe a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And so yeah, like I've had people that um to me it's just normal. I think we operate in that everybody eats landscape on
Right.
both ends, where it's
Right.
like I also believe that people want me to succeed.
Right.
And so yeah, I just reach out and I say,
Right.
hey, can we have lunch? And then I think there's been moments where I even tell you that, right?
Well, and we're both very much extroverts in the context of we don't have a lot of fears of approaching people, but at the same time, I mean, I can talk to paint drying or grass growing, so that's not an issue for me. But I will say that sometimes having the frameworks or having the entry points like a right choice are helpful for those who would struggle to do it on their own, but also just being able to find people with whom you're comfortable with. So if your energy is, hey, I'm introverted, it makes me very uncomfortable to step outside of myself and ask, like step one is just finding an environment that can nurture that, right? Because it's not as easy for others to ask for help or to even raise their hands and say, I'm interested in a relationship. But that's also where relationship building comes into play, because to your point, sometimes it just evolves there naturally. But and people don't know what they don't know. And so it's just when you have like a passion point or an entry point where you're like, this is something that I'm interested in. If I can find an environment that can nurture that, then I think you'll be open to mentorship or seeking that kind of relationship back and forth. But for us, I mean, it's different because it's like, I'm going to ask, I'm going to figure it out.
In your opinion, what's the most rewarding part of being a mentor or a mentee?
Being a cheerleader, I love it. I mean, like, I just, watching the evolution, watching the growth, sharing in that, and then being able to be there for the successes and even being able to help someone through the challenges or to go through those challenges and those successes with someone. We just don't believe in doing a lot of stuff alone.
Yeah, right. And so to that point, like celebrating the wins together, as an attorney that's had my own firm, I've now realized like I've had a lot of law students that have come through that are now attorneys that, there's some that um, have gone out of their way to do like the extras in terms of being around what I have going on like in the community. And I think that recognition of, okay, I am your mentor in a sense, but then seeing them like finish law school, seeing them go off and practice law in some way, it's a legacy. And I think that as a mentor, you want to have a legacy where you see positive results,
Right.
So I
Right.
think celebrating those wins along the way, and just being there for moments, like seeing people get married or just
Yeah, you're right.
progress and grow in life. And so, yeah, I think it's what you said. I mean, it's celebrating those victories and those wins, and it's understanding that we have a small part in that, and it's not necessarily ours to celebrate, but it's a part of our story. I think mentorship is a part of your story as well, right? The lives that you have touched, throughout your own life.
Absolutely.
In closing, do either of you have a mentor mentee story you would like to share?
Hmm.
Hmm.
No pressure.
Sure, we have some.
Actually, I just finished another mentor program through Dress for Success, Women to Women. And this time they gave us frameworks and I didn't use any of it. And I just really established a really great relationship with my mentee. And now we have the opportunity to do business together. And I think that, going back to celebrating the wins, whenever I see her posting things that I see are the things that I've shared with her as advice, and just being able to cheer her on in those moments, but then to be able to come to her and say, in 2025, I've got opportunities for you and I to work together. And for her to be like, let's go, like, I'm excited. And just the way that we are now mutually investing in one another based on a dynamic that would have said, oh, you're in a position that I want to be. And it was like, actually, I'm kind of in this thing alongside you. And that was the opportunity for mentorship. But now we're flipping that into the future of something more productive. And that's just really exciting. I love it.
Yeah, I would say for me, I think conceptually, like the example I would have would be when I'm asked for like career advice from people who like law students who may work for me, who may have like even an offer for me on the table versus other, you know, and I think that that is like those are moments where I've had to truly be a mentor, you know, and to be selfless because it's real easy in that moment to manipulate the mentor mentee relationship and that power dynamic and to say, I think this is what you should do, knowing that it's what may be best for me or the firm, having to step away from that and truly give advice where it's like, you know, no matter what the outcome you choose is, I want to give you advice that you're going to look back on and say, you know what, you looked out for me. And I
That's right.
think like conceptually thinking about those scenarios, I've been tested because I have to be mindful and conscious about making sure that I'm not being biased in my advice. And I think that's really a big part of what mentorship is humility and stepping away from yourself and making sure that you pour into others in a way that builds them up regardless of how it impacts you.